This week in NASCAR has left its studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've gone up the highway to the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame Museum with a great crowd gathered on as we get set to get you ready for this weekend's NASCAR racing at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Hi, welcome to the program. Glad that you've joined us. We're on the air to take you back through an exciting weekend of racing at California with the NASCAR Busch Series and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series held center stage over this past weekend and get you ready for the AC Delco 200 and AC Delco 400 this weekend's feature events at the North Carolina Motor Speedway as the chase for the championships in those two divisions continue. On the program tonight to kick all that around with us, the winner of the Kenwood 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series on Sunday in California, Todd Bodine, driver of the Stanley Pontiac, will join us. We'll talk with Todd about his victory on Sunday as well as his continued pursuit of Randy LaJoie for the NASCAR Busch Series championship. Then at the bottom of the hour, we'll preview the event at Rockingham with a five-time winner at that track. Rusty Wallace will be here, driver of the Miller Lite Ford for Penske Racing South. We'll kick Rockingham around with Rusty, as well as some of the ups and downs of his 1997 season. We start, as always, though, with a swing back through what happened on the racetrack over the past weekend. The events out in California being our focus. To do that, here's Tyler Potter.
While the Winston Cup circuit had the week off for the first time in 11 weeks, the Busch and Truck Series were busy basking in the sun at the new California Speedway in Fontana. It was a memorable weekend for Todd Bodine and Mike Bliss, as each posted their first wins of '97. In Sunday's Kenwood Home and Car Audio 300, Steve Park started from the pole for the first time all year. But it was Bobby Labonte who had the dominant car after he and Elliott Sadler got around Park on lap 38. Labonte would lead at lap 50 and lap 100 and was a major player in the outcome of this race. After the first round of green flag pit stops, Park found himself back in the lead, choosing not to pit with Labonte and Sadler. When he did come in, it was a disaster. 30 seconds to be exact after his tire changer lost a lug nut. Elliott Sadler's chances were all but dashed when he brushed the wall in turn 1 with less than 50 to go. The impact resulted in a broken front tie rod. It came down to fuel mileage. Labonte thought he had enough to go the distance. He was wrong. To make matters worse, Labonte ran out past the entrance to pit road, so he had to coast all the way back around again. Park wasn't going to take any chances, but when he came in for a splash, he surrendered the lead to Todd Bodine. Bodine rolled the dice, and it paid off, going the final 71 laps on a tank of fuel for his first victory of '97. He also picked up 46 points on leader Randy LaJoie in the battle for the championship.
It's a long shot, but we're not going to give up by any means. We go out to win every race and do the best we can. And unfortunately, Randy's team and Randy are so consistent that they're going to finish in the top 10. And that's what they got to do, is just finish. And we got to do the best we can to try to stay in front of Steven. And it's been a good year no matter what happens.
For the second straight race, Mike Bliss was on the pole in Saturday's No Fear Challenge 200. Quite a battle going on for second between these two guys, Kenny Irwin Jr. and Ernie Irvan. It was a sign of things to come. It was a tough afternoon for Rich Bickle, who was second in points coming in, but by lap 25 found himself a lap down. At the break, he was 2 down, and he never recovered, finishing 26th. As the second half began, Joe Ruttman fell back with transmission problems and was done for the day. It became apparent the race wasn't for first, but for second. With Bliss in command, Mike Wallace, Irvin, and Irwin battled behind him. After 3 runner-ups in '97, Bliss had finally won. Just how dominant was Bliss? Well, he wound up leading 93 of the 100 laps.
Well, the ASC Ford was handling perfect. I mean, it was flawless. And Robert Yates built a hell of a motor, and that thing ran like a horse.
Now back to the Irvin-Irwin battle. With 3 to go, Irvin had gotten around Irwin. They battled tooth and nail in the final laps, touching several times. But in the end, it was Kenny holding off Ernie for third. Afterwards, Ernie had a few choice words for his successor.
I thought it was good, hard racing. I mean, both of us were trying to go for the spot. I don't know, evidently he's upset about something.
So that's what happened on the racetrack out in California this past weekend. Now, while the NASCAR Winston Cup Series had the weekend off, they weren't sitting by idly doing nothing. Many of the teams busy testing at various racetracks around the country, particularly the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Some 30 teams have been through the racetrack. It's been reconfigured since the last event there in early March of this season. Now a quad oval instead of the traditional oval that it had been, and speeds have been breathtaking. Kenny Irwin on Tuesday turning a lap of over 190 93 miles an hour on a mile-and-a-half track. The old track record that Robbie Gordon set in qualifying just this past March is only 186 miles an hour. It's going to be fast in Atlanta when the Napa 500 rolls around. Also this week, we want to take a minute and tip the captain, Mike Stefanik, who has done a first in NASCAR racing history this past week. Mike claimed 2 NASCAR Touring Series championships in this 1997 season, wrapped them both up on the same weekend. This past Saturday, he won the NASCAR Busch North Championship in their final event of the season on the road course at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Then Sunday went to Thompson, Connecticut, and wrapped up the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour title as well. Both of those series are extremely competitive. For Mike to win both championships in one season is very much a tribute to his talent and dedication, as well as to that of both of his race teams. A very first in NASCAR racing history for Mike Stefanik, 2 NASCAR Touring Series titles here in 1997. Now let's check the Napa leaderboard. The NASCAR Winston Cup Championship standings heading into the race at Rockingham this weekend. 110 points between Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin with 3 races to go. Gordon won the spring race at Rockingham. Mark was the Busch pole winner for that event. We'll move to Dale Jarrett, third in the championship standings, and point out he led the most laps in the spring at Rockingham. Finished second to Gordon in that event. Dale down by 155 points. Jeff Burton in fourth, 280 out of the top spot. He finished third at Rockingham in the spring. His third top 5 in the last 4 races there, despite the fact that he hasn't qualified better than 17th at that track in his Winston Cup career. 5th and 6th place drivers Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt are separated by 2 points. Terry, the winner of the most recent race a week ago Sunday at Talladega. Earnhardt hasn't finished worse than 11th in the last 5 years at Rockingham. He's won twice in that time. Bobby Labonte is 7th in the standings, closing in on his first win of the season after finishing 2nd in the last 2 races. Bill Elliott, the 8th place driver, has 3 Rockingham wins. He's 151 points behind Labonte and 214 ahead of the 9th place driver, which is Ted Musgrave. Ted was 16th in the standings this time a year ago, a good improvement for him. He's 80 points ahead of Rusty Wallace. Rusty has 3 top 10 finishes in the last 4 Rockingham races. He's going to need another one to stay in the top 10. Ken Schrader and Johnny Benson are only 2 and 7 points behind him, respectively. So that is the scene now as we get set to roll into Rockingham for the weekend of racing for both the NASCAR Busch Series and the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. We are going to take a break on This Week in NASCAR and come back here to the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame and visit with our first guest of the evening. He put a Stanley Pontiac at Victory Lane in California Sunday. Todd Bodine is with us when This Week in NASCAR returns.
36 innings this season, and hitters are having a field day against this guy at a clip of 313.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Royal Oak Charcoal. Good times in every Big Red bag. Chevrolet, the cars more champions trust. Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Slim Jim. When you need a little excitement, snap into a beefy, spicy Slim Jim.
The pitch is hit to left field. That's out number 3 with 3 runners left on base.
He won the first NASCAR Busch Series race at the California Speedway on Sunday afternoon, continuing his pursuit of the Series championship. Now joining me on This Week in NASCAR, driver of the Stanley Pontiac, Todd Bodine. Todd, thanks for coming by. How are you?
I'm doing great, Alan.
Congratulations on the win Sunday. How significant was that win to you? We were down to just a few races to go in the season. What did it mean?
It was real big. We got worried. We really did. Three races left and hadn't had a victory yet. And, it'd been a good season. We've been consistent, second in points, first in points, second in points. We've had a couple ups and downs, some real good races, some real bad races, but we still hadn't had that victory. And I really wanted to get the victory lane for Stanley, our sponsor, and Hard Machine Tool, and the crew. I mean, these guys worked hard every week and kept us in this points battle. And to not have a victory to that point, we were getting worried. So to get it out of the way finally is a big relief.
Watching the Stanley Pontiac come down in the final moments of the race and take the checkered flag. Let's talk about the fact that you didn't qualify well and started 28th, but you were running what, like 13th and 17 laps. How'd you do that?
Yeah, it had a good car. For qualifying, we just missed it. The car was just too tight off the corner, and there for a Busch car, what doesn't have a lot of horsepower, being too tight will really slow it down. And we just kept working on it, and we kept picking at it and got a little faster. And by the time the race started, we had a pretty good race car. I think a lot of it, though, was inexperience in drafting for some of the guys, some of the younger guys that were starting back there. And I just got lucky a couple times and made the right move and took my way through.
All right, speaking of luck, there were 2 cautions in those first 17 laps, and you were in the vicinity of a couple of them. We're going to look at one of them here when they tried to go 3 wide into turn 3, and your teammate, Mike McLaughlin, came out on the short end of it. Were you watching this in the mirror or out the windshield?
Well, actually, it was in the mirror. I just got by this pack, and this is really one of the only bad things we had during this race. The guys did a really good job. I mean, when you can go 4 wide into turn 1 there and come out without wrecking, you've done something. And I really, my hat's off to all the guys that ran there.
For as much inexperience in that kind of drafting as there was, you're right, guys, it was a very clean race. Ended up you won the race on fuel mileage. You ran the first 69 laps before you stopped for fuel. Came in then, caution came out, you came back down pit road at lap 75. How come just again after the first stop?
Well, that particular time we changed the tires, went back out and had a vibration. I think just maybe one of the wheel weights came off or something like that. And going that fast there, you don't want to take a chance. So we just we weren't going to give up a lot of track position. We decided let's go ahead and change them again and top it off. And so that's the reason for that.
So the caution there ended up being a pretty big break for you just after your first stop, and the fuel worked out to the end. Were you worried about the fuel? I mean, you'd gone 61, 69 laps. Now you were trying to go 71. Was it really a worry?
For me, no. I trusted Clyde's decision. They had calculated the fuel mileage, and he said we were getting really good mileage even before we decided to go for the gas mileage. And, we came back in at the end of that caution and topped it off, and that was all we needed. And when I went back out pit road, Clyde said to start drafting, and we're going to try to go on fuel, and that's what we did.
And it worked out in victory lane. Todd Bodine with us, driver of Stanley Pontiac for Team 34 Racing. Coming up, your calls and questions on the Napa Race Line. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. 1-800-266-9531. Give us a call. We'll take your calls and questions in just a little while. This week in NASCAR from the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Mooresville, North Carolina. We're coming back after a look at the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship standings for drivers outside the top 10.
Runners at first and second, nobody out. Strike ball with the belt. Big partner, the pitcher, ball rolls on. Might be a good ground ball start moving. It's the outside corner. Got him looking. That was a nice piece of shit. Man, I never seem to know what's coming.
Back on This Week in NASCAR from the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Mooresville. Todd Bodine, our guest, winner of Sunday's Kenwood 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. We'll take your calls and questions for Todd in just a little bit. Your win trimmed 46 points off Randy LaJoie's lead for the championship. You're down by 200 with 2 races to go. We saw a few minutes ago your comments after the race that it's going to be tough, but you haven't given up yet. How do you deal with needing 200 points in 2 races? I mean, you're just totally relying on him having some sort of problem.
We're going to have to. It's almost impossible to make that up and they not have problems. So, unfortunately, like I said, Randy and his crew are just consistent. They're going to finish those races and they're going to be in the top 10 probably. So, we have to go out and do the best we can. Hopefully, we win a couple more. I mean, that's what we're here for every week is to win races.
You hit kind of a tough stretch in the late summer. 25th at Richmond, 15th at Dover, and 20th at Charlotte. That is as tough a string as you've had all season. Will you look back on that at the end of the year and say that's where it got away?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we have no reasons for it. I mean, just bad luck. In Charlotte, we just didn't have a car to handle it. I mean, we just missed the setup. Dover, we had one problem we know of with the car. It's just little things that keep you from running in the top 10. I mean, this division's tough. It's competition's right there, and you got to be on your toes every week.
One of the ones that could have been a real bad day for you that just kind of, to me, was the remarkable story of Todd Summer was Bristol. Early part of the race, here you are caught up in a wreck, and you come, well, here it is right here, and you come back and you get an 8th place finish out of this. This could have been real bad.
It could have been real bad. Bristol, you don't usually get out that lucky, but we had a good race car that trip that night, and just fortunate to get back through the traffic without getting lapped or anything like that, or getting in another skirmish. So, Stanley Pontiac's been tough all year. We've had good cars, we just had some bad luck to go with it.
You and Randy are rivals for the championship. You don't act like rivals, though, on or off the racetrack. How is it that you cannot become, when you've had, for what, 3/4 of the season, known that this was the guy and he's known that you were the guy? How have you been able to keep that from getting away?
Well, Randy and myself have been friends for a long time, back in Connecticut days. And when Randy moved down here, I was just getting started in Busch Grand National, and he actually did some spotting for me, put a body on a car for us, and actually did some work for us. We've been good friends for a long time, and that's what's really made this battle a lot of fun all year long, is parking next to each other each week and goofing back and forth. I mean, you know Randy, he's a cut up every week, and we've had a lot of fun, and it's made our friendship grow a lot.
One of the other things that's happened to you over the course of time since you visited with us last in June is you went to Watkins Glen and won the pole for the Winston Cup race there in a one-off shot that your NASCAR Busch Series team did. Tell me about that day. Was it as much a shock to you as it was to us?
Yeah, everybody gets a lucky laugh once in a while, I guess, but no, we went up there and tested, and we ran a really well testing. We thought we could go back, qualify in the top 10, but when we unloaded, when we got there, the car was just terrible. All over the place, wouldn't do what we wanted to do, and got ready for qualifying. We didn't know what to do, so we put it right back like we had it testing with one minor change, and put some 4 tires, 4 Goodyears on there, and went out, and I just wanted to get a good smooth lap. I knew if I could get a smooth lap, I could be in the top 25, and got the pole. I couldn't believe it.
You were in the top 25. It's pretty good there, leading the top 25. Another thing that happened to you over the summer, early August, you announced your NASCAR Winston Cup team for next year. Who are some of the players in that team? All people really know about it is the sponsor and Todd Bodine. They don't really know much else about it.
Well, that's a group out of Indianapolis. They've owned an IRL car for a couple of years. It's ISM Racing, headed up by Bob Hanser, and he's the brains behind the racing part. He's really coming to this with a different view, a different way of looking at things, a different way of running the team. And that was what really intrigued me about it to start with, is the ideas that he had for the team. And then when they told me the sponsor was Tabasco brand pepper sauce, Tabasco is #1 in their sauce, and around the world they're #1. So it was a great sponsor, a great opportunity for me, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Todd Bodine is with us. He is the driver of the Stanley Pontiac in 1997 on the NASCAR Busch Series, trying to win himself a championship over these last couple of races. We'll come back and take your calls in a couple of minutes. We're at the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame and Museum in Mooresville. On the way to the break, let's look at those Busch Series championship standings. We told you that Todd trails Randy LaJoie by 200 points with 2 races to go.
Into the right side. That'll do it for the Red Sox in the 3rd inning.
You are looking at Bobby Allison winning the 1988 Daytona 500 this coming January. Bobby Allison will be inducted to the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame. The second inductee, Richard Petty, was the first in 1997. We are back inside that very museum. Hey, they still got the sticks of gum on the dashboard of Fred Lorenzen's car. That's one of the things you can see here. You can also see This Week in NASCAR here tonight as we visit with Todd Bodine, driver of the Stanley Pontiac. He goes after another win in this Saturday's AC Delco 200 at Rockingham. You mentioned your NASCAR Winston Cup team. You flew straight from California on the red-eye flight to Atlanta and tested with them this week. And I said at the top of the show, Atlanta's all anybody in Winston Cup racing's been talking about and how fast it is. How'd you find it?
Fast. It's real fast. It's so fast that it's almost like driving a short track.
Really?
You go through the corner so quickly, down the back straightaway, through the next corner. I mean, it's, 29 seconds is a decent lap. I mean, 28, 70 or something, 63 I think was the fastest, but a 29-second lap around 1.5 miles, that's fast. And it's super smooth, a lot of grip. I'll tell you, it's going to be a heck of a race.
You already ran one race with that new team, the Charlotte race. You started what? You started 36th, you finished 26th. Was that a successful weekend?
Believe it or not, yeah, it was for us. We set out, first of all, 10 weeks before that race, we didn't have a race team. So to show up at the racetrack was a great accomplishment in itself. And we showed up, we had the race car perfect, all the toolboxes, everything decaled. Everything was right. We showed up as a professional race team, which was hard to do in 10 weeks. That's a lot of work. So I give the crew a lot of credit for that. Then we made the race. It wasn't the best qualifying lap. We didn't pick up what we thought we should have. We should have probably been about 18th. And then we finished the race with no scratches on the car. So we accomplished an awful lot in a short period of time, and we're very proud of that accomplishment. hopefully now we can go to Atlanta and improve on it some.
You've been Mr. Substitute for 1997. While you've been trying to win this NASCAR Busch Series championship, you have been called upon several times to fill in for people in NASCAR Winston Cup rides, for Ricky Craven at Texas, for your brother Jeff at Charlotte in May, for Jeff Burton here in New Hampshire in September. How do you jump into somebody else's car and try and go?
It's pretty tough, actually. Unfortunately, though, for myself, everybody I've had to deal with and the crew chiefs and the crews have been very supportive and very helpful when I do these jobs, and that makes it a lot easier. And then when you get a guy like Buddy Parrott as a crew chief, Buddy's a great guy, and he makes you feel right at home, and they want to do the best they can, so they're helping you. I mean, it was a good situation. One thing I feel very fortunate about is even last year getting to do all those substitutions is I got to work with a lot of different crew chiefs, a lot of very good crew chiefs, and that taught me an awful lot about racing and a different outlook about it, so I was very fortunate.
Tell me about your race team now as they get ready to go to Rockingham. Okay, Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, you were in Victory Lane at California, just taking the trophy, basically. Now tomorrow, noon on Thursday Eastern time, they have to be signed in to Rockingham in eastern North Carolina, having brought a tractor trailer back from California to Charlotte and probably stopped at the shop, I would assume. How'd they do that?
Yeah, well, it's pretty tough on the crews to do that, but fortunately for us, we've had a race car ready now for a couple of weeks for Rockingham, and the crews have been working hard on all the other cars to get them ready. So they got way ahead, and it made it a lot easier. It was tough on the truck drivers. We had 2 truck drivers to come back. They came back nonstop and got here yesterday morning, and so they're ready to go.
Takes a lot of dedication to be in racing, any job. Todd Bodine with us, driver of Stanley Pontiac. When we come back, your calls and questions on the Napa Race Line at 1-800-266-9531. We'll talk with you in just a couple of minutes. Now, on the way to the break, we saw earlier Mike Bliss won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race out at California on Saturday. Here are the championship standings after that event. Jack Sprague opening up his lead from 56 to 121 points on Rich Bickle with 2 races to go. They're at Phoenix a week from Saturday. We're back on This Week in NASCAR at the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Mooresville with Todd Bodine, driver of the Stanley Pontiac. And now your calls and questions on the Napa Race Line at 1-800-266-9531. We open it up in New England, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Mickey, you're on with Todd Bodine. Hello.
Hello there. Hello, Alan, and I'd like to say congratulations to your neighbor there, Mike Stefanik, that you mentioned.
Yeah, Mike did a great job.
Yes, he did. Also, Todd, congratulations on your win and your title this year.
Thank you.
Also, Todd, I have an old Pinto of Richie Evans that your father-in-law used to work on back in the early days there. And how does it feel to be working against a 9-time championship crew chief like Billy Nicewith, that you're fighting for this title? Does that bring back some memories or what?
Need to explain there that Billy was Richie Evans' crew chief, the many-time NASCAR modified champion. He now works for the base team that Randy LaJoie drives for.
Yeah, I tell you, that's I mentioned earlier about being friends with Randy. It's pretty neat because Billy has been friends with Clyde forever. Birdie's been friends with. It's one big group that's grew up together in racing in New England, New York State. And we all came down here and started racing. So that part of it's been a lot of fun too. And yeah, Billy's awful good. 9 times with Richie, and last year with Randy, and probably this year with Randy, unfortunately.
The score is tied.
It's been a lot of fun having him around every week.
Let's go back to the phones. Claremont, North Carolina. Alan, you're on This Week in NASCAR. Hi there.
Hi, Todd. Welcome back to Winston Cup. We missed you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Right-handed pitching.
My question, two questions, actually. With a number of new tracks getting dates and more tracks being built, in addition to teams expanding and teams beginning, Winston Cup's growing. Do you think the circuit will be divided into divisions to accommodate these changes or something of that sort?
Oh, he puts a great swing on that ball
tough
for
question.
the solo shot.
Very tough question. Something has to be done. I don't know what the answer is. I'm sure Mike Helton and everybody down at Daytona is trying to figure something out, because we do have an awful lot of teams, and there's not enough room for everybody every week, and that's unfortunate because we got a lot of great sponsors, a lot of great teams. And, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure that NASCAR will figure it out.
One of the tricks to it is that there is no shortage of people, as grueling and demanding as the schedule is getting. There's no shortage of people starting new teams and wanting to be part of this. So it's kind of a tricky thing to balance. Back to the phones we go. San Antonio, Texas. Richard, you're on This Week in NASCAR with Todd Bodine. Hello.
On that play, it didn't appear the field looked the ball into his glove. The
nice to see you coming back, racing Winston Cup also.
Thank you.
Just had a quick question. I'm watching the races and I always hear, well, there comes Todd and all them doing a drag race. I was just wondering, how fast is a Busch car, like from a dead stop for a quarter mile?
He's picking on us announcers. That's no fair.
That's a good question.
Any idea?
I couldn't even answer that. I'm sure it depends on the gear ratio and the horsepower you got and all that kind of stuff, but I'd have to bet that it's not very slow.
No, I wouldn't think so either. Of course, in the days before the pit road speed limit, we could find out how fast they could go in a quarter mile. Todd, congratulations on a great win for you on Sunday, on a great season. And even if it doesn't come out that you're able to catch Randy, you have been right with it all year in the thick of the championship chase, and you're to be commended.
I appreciate it. It has been a good year. Second points is not bad. It's nothing to sneeze at. Now we got to win, and I'm going to be a daddy pretty soon. So
yeah, let's get that in.
We're pretty happy about that. And everything's going good. I got a new job for next year, and things are looking up.
There you go. Thanks again, Todd. Appreciate it. Todd Bodine, driver of the Stanley Pontiac, with us on This Week in NASCAR. Going to take a break, come back, and welcome our second guest of the evening to help us preview the events at Rockingham this coming weekend. Rusty Wallace, a five-time Rockingham winner, driver of the Miller Lite Ford, is with us when This Week in NASCAR continues. On the way to the break, we salute NASCAR Touring Series winners this past weekend, including Ted Christopher, won the Busch North Series season finale at Lime Rock Park on Saturday, and Freddie Query won a very exciting Slim Jim All-Pro Series All-American 400 at Nashville on Sunday. On the schedule this weekend, you're looking at it. Rockingham, the Busch Series Saturday, the Winston Cup Series on Sunday. That's what's happening in NASCAR racing this weekend.
And it's 0-2.
He's a five-time winner at Rockingham and enters Sunday's race there, trying to put a lock on a top 10 finish in points for 1997. Now joining us, driver of the Miller Lite Ford, Rusty Wallace. Hi, Rusty. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for being here tonight. Let's talk about a couple things. First of all, we just had Todd Bodine up here, the winner of Sunday's race. You were in a Busch Series race on Sunday. It's been years since you did that.
It's been a long time, yeah. I was talking to Roger Penske, my car owner, I guess a couple weeks ago, and he said, hey, you doing anything this weekend? I said, well, I'm like, kind of my vacation. He said, how about running California? I said, well, never thought about it. I said, we're going to get a car. He said, let's call Mark Martin and Jack Rouse. So we borrowed one from those guys, took it out there, they crewed it, they did a great job, we had a fun time, learned a lot, and finished 21st in the race, but early in the race, we pitted on lap 60. They had a caution flag come out, and we got caught in the pits and lost a lap. So it was a fun day, though.
Just the way the yellow fell. Talladega, the last NASCAR Winston Cup race, a top 10 run for you. A good day, not a good day?
No, it's been a pretty good day. I thought we could have run better than that. This year's probably been our best effort for super speedway stuff. The worst qualifying effort we had all year long was a 9th there. And the car's been really running strong. The engines have been really excellent, and I think that's been a big turning point.
Watching Rusty here lead that group eventually up to the front group that we saw just ahead of him there, and it was a good day at Talladega. That finish moved you from 13th to 10th in the championship standings. Barely into 10th. You've got just a little gap between you and all the way back to like 15th place. Does it matter to you if you're not taking the big trophy home?
He's going back.
Where you finish?
Well, I think it does. If you don't take the big trophy home, I think anything after 10th kind of sounds bad. To me, it does. Maybe to a lot of other people, to me, it sounds bad. And but we've had a great car all year long. But we had some engine problems early. I had the wreck at the last lap at Loudon that killed me. I had the deal at Martinsville where I thought I had to race one and lost a lap there, or ended up finishing 15th, lost a lot of points. If it wouldn't have been for that, we've been way up in the points. But hey, if you can't win a championship, that's the main thing you're concerned about.
1997 hasn't been the season you were expecting, and you have focused a lot of time on, this is Indianapolis here, that was one of the days it wasn't as good as you wanted. You focused a lot of time on the engine room because at the beginning of the season you had some problems there. You leased some motors from somebody else for a while to try and help the engine room get back on its feet. Why?
Well, we're competitors. We got sponsors that are looking for performance, and we got, I come to drive the car to win, and Don Miller, our general manager, he wants the car to win. All the team members want to win. And the engine guys, we knew we got talent, but for some reason we were just having problems. And so were having problems with horsepower to start with, and released some engines from Larry Wallace. And what that did, they gave our guys enough time to go back and go to work and start trying to fix these problems. And the problems seem to be gone right now. The engines are running great. I can get out of the car every time right now and say if I didn't win, I can say it's not because of the engine. Durability's been good. And I wish we could push the reset button right now and start over because the engine feels great right now.
Without question, the highlight of the season was the win at Richmond. Came in the third race of the year. Tell me about that race. It was a fairly heavy ending. There's a lot going on.
It was a real weird ending because we led the race throughout the day, and I think we led the most laps and won the race. And I had to go to appearance down in New Orleans for Miller Brewing Company. So I've won the race, left with the Miller in my hand and flew down there and got there for the appearance. They called me up and said, hey, the wind's being protested. They said the engine pressure rate's just too high, and I thought there was no way. I watched them check it. And come to find out, the next day after the pre-race inspection, they took the engine out of the car, took it back to North Carolina, and checked it again and found out it was legal.
That was, though, a dominating performance. That was, without question, the strongest performance you've had all season. Do I overstate that?
Well, I don't know. We've had a lot of good performances all year long. I mean, Richmond was a good one. I think the road courses were really good out at Sears Point. I blew the engine up out there, missed a gear. And I think the Martinsville run a couple weeks ago was pretty dominant. I think we led almost 260 laps out of that deal. But it has been a real up and down year. It hasn't been as dominant as I've been in the past. But we're going to try to fix that problem.
Disappointment of the year. We'll set Martinsville aside. We know that was disappointing. How about Bristol in April? When I was sitting here coming up with that, I thought that was the one.
Well, yeah, that's whenever you lose a race in the last lap like that, like Bristol, because that was a pretty dominant run too. Led a lot of laps that day. But I came up in a lap car and he got too close to me, and he did what I would have done probably, and he just rooted me a little bit there, got me sideways, and won the race. But that wasn't the down part of the year to me. The down part of the year to me was a race I'll never forget, and that was the Brickyard 400. We tested so good up there, and he got there and blew the qualifying motor up, and blew the race motor up, and qualified terrible, had to take a revisional to get in the race, and just anything that could go wrong went wrong. And that's a race where the year before, the worst I've run ahead all year at that race ever since it started was, I think it was like the 7th or something. The year before, about won the race, led the most laps there, and that's when I got trapped in the pitch, and Earnhardt won. I finished second. And then it goes to this horrible nightmare, So sometimes when you get down like that and you have the problems, it makes you rebound, so it won't happen again.
Things have been strong of late and continuing to get stronger. For Rusty Wallace, our guest tonight, driver of the Miller Lite Ford. We'll come back and take your calls and questions in a little while for Rusty on the Napa Race Line at 1-800-266-9531. No, we're not in our studio. We're at the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame tonight in Mooresville, North Carolina. This is right across the street from the Penske Racing South Shops. We're coming back in just a minute on This Week in NASCAR.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you in part by Berryman Products, makers of the complete line of B12 Chem Tool cleaners and fuel conditioners for your car. And by Royal Oak Charcoal, good times in every Big Red Bag.
Next up, Sean Figgins.
Back on This Week in NASCAR with Rusty Wallace, driver of the Miller Lite Ford, getting ready for this weekend's events at Rockingham, where he's a 5-time winner. We'll talk about that in a little while. First, I want to talk about 1998 for a bit. You and your team have been pretty heavily involved in developing the Taurus, and that's been a big topic of conversation, not only among racers, but race fans want to know something about the car. When did that process start, that your team got involved in trying to help Ford get that thing together?
I don't know the exact date, but I would say probably around 6 months ago it started. They got a hold of the race team. Don Miller and the Ford Motor Company started talking, and they basically contracted our team to be the manufacturer for the Ford Taurus, to take a car and take it from a street car to what it is right now, and get the thing all approved. And we did all that and announced it up in, I believe it was Indianapolis.
Right.
Got all that finished, and now it's pretty well up to the rest of the teams right now. It's out there, and I guess a lot of teams are building them, and I think the car's going to be a really good car.
What's left to be determined on the race car? Are there things or areas of the car that still haven't been completely worked out yet, or is it just down to small details?
Well, it's down to a lot of wind tunnel time, a lot of just... These guys are building their first Tauruses, and usually the first car they built isn't the best car. And we built one car, didn't like what we saw at Daytona, took it to Charlotte, didn't like what we saw there. Now they built a brand new thoroughbred super speedway car. We're in the wind tunnel today, running that in Georgia today, running it right now. And I guess it's going pretty good down there from what I hear. Then there's other teams building short track cars and intermediate cars, and the Yates teams and Bill Elliott, guys like that. And I think they're liking what they're seeing right now. The reports we've heard today are that they're real happy with what they saw so far. But now you got to go back to the speedway version and the intermediate version, which is two different cars. And so all the teams now have got the templates and they've got the pieces and parts, and they're using their wisdom and trying to build the best car they possibly can.
Roger Penske and the Penske South group decided not to go the multi-car route for next year. You were debating it back earlier in the season, decided against it. How come?
The engine problem. That was probably the one thing. We felt as though we were having so many problems in the mid part of the year that if we can't get our own house in order, how are we going to do two cars? And that was one of the big reasons that spoiled it. And because we were pretty well set to do two cars. And I'm not saying we won't do that. I'm positive we will do that because that's the way of the future. But that's the reason we had to scrap it for 98. But now, if we would have known back then what we know now, we would have probably done it. Because the engine was a big thing. Yeah, it's great right now.
There's been a lot of talk of an alliance maybe between your team and another one to try and share some testing information. Is that just rumor, or is that maybe a possibility that could happen?
No, it's a good possibility. It probably will happen. And we'll talk about that later on in the year right now. We'll probably have a little announcement 1st of November about that one. But, yeah, I think if you can't have a two-car team, you definitely got to get hooked up with somebody, do some testing and share it, because if you don't, you're just going to get lost out there.
Rusty Wallace is with us, driver of the Miller Lite Ford for Penske Racing South. We're going to take a break, come back, and open up the Napa race line. Toll free at 1-800-266-9531. We'll hope to hear from you. It's This Week in NASCAR from the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame in Mooresville, just across the street from the Penske Racing South shops, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
Guests on This Week in NASCAR receive embroidered Chase Authentic attire. Chase Authentics, the choice of champions, the authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR. Enter to win the Chase Authentics Fan Fantasy Sweepstakes. Win a trip for two to one of NASCAR's biggest races of 1998. Entry forms and complete rules in the men's department of participating Sears stores.
We've got everything here at the Hall of Fame. Simulators, lots of classic cars. I jumped in that thing earlier today. I think I was the first guy that's ever crashed it. Don't know. North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame, just off exit 36, Interstate 77 in Mooresville, North Carolina, the same industrial park that many of the team shops are in. And they have many things going on throughout the year for you to participate in. If you happen to be in this area, come on by. One of them, the 8th annual Stocks for Tots program. That's something that's very near and dear to the Penske Racing team. That happens on December the 18th here at this industrial park. There you see the dates and times and all the necessary information. Also coming up, there's going to be an auction for the benefit of the Iredell County Special Olympics here on November the 8th. And we thank the folks at the Hall of Fame for hosting This Week in NASCAR tonight. There we are. Rusty Wallace is with us, driving the Miller Lite Ford for Penske Racing South. Jessica, Graham, North Carolina, you are up first on the Napa race line. Hello, go ahead.
Hi, Rusty.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Good luck at Rockingham this weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one question.
All right.
Do you think Chevy will have more of an advantage than Ford when they get the new ST2 motor?
That's a pretty good question. She's up on her text of it.
I
don't know. I know the Chevrolet's getting a new engine next year, and they're not getting a new engine just because they want one. It's definitely got more power. I hear 15, 20 horsepower. Who knows? We don't have one. But if they already got a car that's running pretty quick this year, it should make them go faster next year. Hopefully we can get our Taurus running good and make up the difference.
The endless pursuit. Ford, Chevrolet, Pontiac, no, it never stops, never will. Tell me about the process of trying to sort out this new car over the next few months. How much time are you going to get to spend on the track with it?
Well, not a whole lot of time. I mean, I think NASCAR might give us some time on the racetrack that doesn't go against our test schedule. But pretty soon, I mean, we're going to be right at Daytona. These guys, you got to remember, we're all sitting with Thunderbirds right now and not much time to build a bunch of Tauruses. So right now, the guys are trying to get down pat what they want to build. You know, if they get out of the wind tunnel, the car looks real good in the wind tunnel, then they feel pretty confident, then they can start building the car. There's one thing we do know. We took a car to Daytona and ran it, and we didn't like what we saw as far as numbers in the wind tunnel. And now those numbers have been greatly improved and tuned up a little bit to be closer to what the Thunderbird was. And obviously you want to make it as good as that car because that's a pretty good car. And the reason we're not running that car right now is because Ford quit making it.
Yeah.
So the Thunderbird was a good car. So If you can get it as good as what the Thunderbird was, you really got something, but we like to have something better. So now they're trying to figure out how they want to build them,
Fastball for a
how they want to design them, and all the stuff, and it's a tough deal. And a lot of the teams are in the middle of that right now.
Let's go back to the phones. Cowpen, South Carolina. Bill, you're on This Week in NASCAR. Hello.
Infield's got
How you
to think about
doing?
playing a double play depth
Great,
right
thank you. Your question.
Rusty, good luck to you this year and next year.
Thank you, appreciate it.
now. The count is
What are your
2-2.
changes and plans for the 98 season, and what do you think of the race schedule for next year?
He swung through it for
The
strike
race schedule for
3.
next year is probably pretty close this year, just for the exception of the Las Vegas race. But I think that, definitely everybody's going to have to be more focused. I mean, that's the deal right now. Organization is the most important thing. The race teams have really got to flow. Got to be real aggressive on our chassis program, real aggressive on our engine program. Pit stops are one of the most important things right now. So you just can't put an importance on any one little thing. You got to put an importance on everything. Teamwork's real important.
And he swings and
We
misses.
keep telling our people there's no I in our race team, and there's not. It takes the crew chief, myself, the engine people, the general manager. Everything's got to go right. And the competition keeps getting tougher and tougher, so it's going to be a tough one.
Get add more people for next year.
I don't think we're going to add any more people. I think we've got plenty enough people. There's no doubt about that. We just got to make sure that everybody's pulling in one direction, and that's for the victory.
Let's go up to the Empire State. Corinth, New York. Lee, you're on This Week in NASCAR. Hello.
Hi, Alan. Hi, Rusty.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Got a couple quick questions.
Okay.
First of all, I love the penny deal.
Now,
are you still superstitious over the pennies?
Hey, partner, it's
Well,
time now for the
I've got little weird quirks about pennies. when they pop up tails up in the wrong places, that concerns me a little bit because I can kind of trace bad luck to that, But just about the time, I win a race or something goes good or something goes bad, I prove myself wrong about my thought about pennies. So.
Superstitions.
Yeah, superstitions. You need to forget about that. Spend more time thinking of that junk than anything else.
There you go. Rusty Wallace with us, driver of the Miller Lite Ford. We're going to come back and talk about this weekend's Rockingham race in just a minute. Rockingham, a place where Neil Bonnet visited Victory Lane in 1986.
We hadn't won that many races with Junior, and this has been a good racetrack for me. We came in here and really worked hard during the week. My guys have been working awful hard, and I'm sitting here and take this win myself, but my goodness, I'm just glad for my team and Junior Johnson's bunch to win a race before I did leave at the end of the season.
Misses for a ball.
Today we're constantly jacking the car around, changing the wedge. We used a lot of tires looking for the right combination and experimented a lot early in the race. Never really got that far behind, but just a lot of trial and error. Run high, run low. Try a different stagger, try a different wedge. Finally got it all together right at the end, just in the nick of time.
A memory of a past Rockingham race. Here's another one. 1994, our guest Rusty Wallace in Victory Lane at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. One of 5 times he has claimed the winner's trophy at that mile racetrack, and that's where the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit heads this weekend. And pick your brain a little bit about Rockingham. Is there a pattern to a Rockingham race? Do they unfold in a similar manner a lot?
They seem like they do. Early on, there's a bunch of passing, a bunch of this and that going on. But pit stops and track position is really important at Rockingham. I think that nowadays in Winston Cup racing, the teams are so close that track position and pit stop is really important. But shock absorbers are probably one of the key things at Rockingham that I've noticed. We won all this race at Rockingham. We really had some stuff going on there. And I believe we still got that going on. But nowadays, handling engines, pit stops. If I used to be able to answer that question, you just ask me and say, oh yeah, the key to today's race was the pit stop. That was everything. Or boy, that car really handled good today. But man, if you don't have it all now, it's tough.
You almost have to have a perfect race anymore to win. The theory on Rockingham over the years has been tires. New tires were great. Older tires or tires that had 15, 20 laps on them were not as great. Then the track was repaved. Now we've had a few years since that repaving job. Is it getting back like the old Rockingham was?
I'd say so. I think it's getting pretty close to what the old track used to be. And so some of those old prospects are going to have to go right back to what you used to do. And they paved the place real fast, had a lot of grip, and now the grip's gone away. And some of the roughness is coming back, and some of the old characteristics are coming off of turn 4 and the big bump and the car jumping up and down, coming off that turn or back. But it's a great track. I love going down there. Some neat people down there. It's close to home. I've won a lot of races down there, and the ones I haven't won, I've got a ton of second-place finishes. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
Rusty, thanks for spending time with us tonight. Good luck on Sunday. We've been sitting here in front of one of your old cars, and we're almost out of time. I couldn't let it go without mentioning it anyway. This was the first one. Thanks again for being here. I
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Rusty Wallace, driver of the Miller Lite Ford for Penske Racing South in the AC Delco 400 on Sunday at Rockingham. Got to thank the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame for swinging the doors open and hosting the program tonight. We certainly appreciate all of their accommodation. Also got to thank the folks at the Checkered Flag Restaurant from across the street here in the Hall of Fame. Dinner was great, guys. Thank you very much. We will be back in our Charlotte studios next week on This Week in NASCAR. We'll talk all about Rockingham. Get you ready for the Phoenix race, 8 p.m. Eastern times when we do the show. Check your local listings for when you will see it in your area. And with that, we thank Todd Bodine for joining us tonight. We thank Rusty Wallace for joining us. We thank our studio audience for joining us. Who did I leave out? You for watching. Alan Bestwick for our This Week in NASCAR crew. We'll see you next week. So long.
This Week in NASCAR has been brought to you by Royal Oak Charcoal. Good times in every Big Red Bag. Chevrolet, the cars more champions trust. Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Slim Jim. When you need a little excitement, snap into a beefy, spicy Slim Jim.
That'll do it for the double race in the 8th. Going into the bottom of the 8th, the score is 7-2. Next up, David Ortiz. This guy swings a pretty quick stick. Takes a pitch just off the plate, 1-0.
Race fans all gather on the high seas. Off-season R&R aboard the Big Red Boat. Take you along. Andy Petrie's track record with Richard Childress Racing in 3 seasons and 2 championships. Petrie's departure this year puts longtime team members David Smith and Bobby Hutchins at the helm. The question is, can they take Dale Earnhardt to a
3 strikeouts.
Title?
Hey, falls behind, makes great pitches, however, comes all the way back and gets a strike.
We talked with crew chief Kevin Hamlin about the changeover to a new body style that is still top secret.
Today's show is brought to you by Texaco Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to
Ramirez takes low for a ball.
And by Cold-Filtered Miller Genuine Draft, making the world a very cool place.
Out of the zone, that's a ball.
For those of us who make our living in the sport of auto racing, we don't have a lot of time to relax, even during the off-season. But recently, some drivers and other personalities did.
He delivers.
On a cruise on the Big Red Boat.
Takes the walk. Oh, it's too bad he walks this guy. He just lets him get away.
And our Randy Pemberton and photographer Ken Novak were invited to go along on the cruise. So you sit back
1 on, 1 out.
show you some of the highlights.
The first annual NASCAR cruise aboard the Big Red Boat had all the indications of being a big hit.
The count's even at 1.
Away from its port in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Along for this 4-night, 3-day getaway were Winston Cup stars
And the count is
families,
2-1.
including among the drivers Kyle Petty, Todd Bodine, Steve Grissom, Ted Musgrave, Steve Hensley, Ernie Irvin, Hut Strickland, and Lake Speed. Also along for the party, Ray Evernham and his
Strike
Rainbow
3 and
Warriors.
he'll take a seat.
TNN's Ralph
Hey, the pitcher wins the battle. Sweet pitch to get the K.
TNN's president, David Hall, made his way to the Bon Voyage celebration to kick things off for what was sure to be a fun time for race fans. A fundraiser for the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary.
I think it's a great opportunity for all the factions of racing to come together to support a very important charity. And we're glad we can be a part of it and help support it. And hopefully this is a stepping stone to something that'll be really big and important to the charity as far as fundraising.
The side is retired with 1 man left on base.
With their heroes. And
with 1 inning left to play, the Devil Rays lead 7-2. Stepping in with 1 home run, Aubrey Huff.
Rubbing elbows with their favorites, and we were on our way to the Bahamas. After a relaxing first evening aboard the Oceanic,
he delivers.
Shifted into high gear the next morning with kids and Looney Tunes characters.
And here's the delivery.
He's had everyone covered.
Strike three sends him back to the dugout with nothing to show for that AB.
Hey, sometimes you make a good pitch, and that was one of them. Big strikeout there, pal.
Liner right after shortstop. He's on first with a base hit.
Kev, I've seen this guy make these kinds of plays before. This time, though, a little short.
Sunny skies en route to Nassau. Race fans found the drivers surrounding the lounge deck.
When this righty comes to the plate, he puts on a clinic every time.
For race fans, it couldn't have gotten any.
The ball is hit out towards third base. He goes hard into second base.
Second baseman really showed some poise there. With the runner flying at him, he still managed to turn two.
He may have been injured on the play. Crook and I certainly wish him the best. After 8.5, Boston trails by 5. The next batter is Mike Lowe. Nobody out.
Except all the drivers that were on board.
And it's 0-1.
And the Rainbow Warriors is all on it. And we're on it.
The evenings on the ship started out quiet. The time to test your palate with pleasure.
Up the middle. Good start to the inning. Leadoff single.
He lined that ball right past the infielder. There's no doubt it was a base hit. Good bit of hitting.
Rainbow Dimes tried their hand with the Magic Act.
That's a ground ball hit to the second baseman. He's safe at first.
Enjoyed being on stage so much that, you guessed it, karaoke.
Here comes the first pitch of the at-bat. Pitch taken for a ball.
Yes, the carry.
Dirksen takes one low.
This might be a good time to start the runner at first and play hit and run. The count dictates that the pitcher has to throw something over the plate.
Pitch misses. Runners on first and second with the walk.
Oh, Parker, that's a terrible time to be walking hitters.
The bullpen is stirring, so he just wants to come out and give the bullpen some more time. But it was up next. Miguel Cabrera.
I don't know, Cap. I think he may be thinking on the mound too much after the visit. Look like the pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
Taken for a ball. 2-1 the count. Two the count.
They've set that defense at double play depth. You can get a ground ball right here. They might get two.
He goes out to right. He's on first with a base hit.
And if you order now, you can get Ray and his Rainbow Warriors singing their
The Devil Rays have activated the bullpen.
Balls of Fire.
The Devil Rays bring in a new pitcher. Baez comes in to try to provide some relief.
We'll have more on the cruise a little later on in this program, and after this break, we'll talk to a couple of guys who have taken on some huge responsibilities at Richard Silver's racing, David Smith and Bobby Hutchins.
This right-handed hitter is a pretty solid hitter. Jackson takes, and it's ball one.
Fly ball here should score up. They have to be aware that the center fielder has a super arm.
1-1 count. 1-2 count. Ground ball up the middle. And a run scores. A 2 RBI single.
Okay, the runner did well there to score from second on that single. That kind of hustle wins you ball games.
Welcome back to Inside NASCAR. Even though there's no racing going on this time of year, the news goes on year-round. So let's catch you up today on what's been going on.
Ortiz makes his way to the plate. First and second with one down. Pitch taken for a ball.
Sometimes you try to make the hit chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
It was announced this week that along
And
with
the count is 2-0.
This season, Richard Jackson Racing has acquired Hooters Restaurant as its sponsor.
And the count is 3-0.
Sometimes you try to make the hit chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
There's a drive, headed way back, and it's gone.
He knew that one was gone the second he hit it. What a shot!
That was in preparation for a NASCAR exhibition race on November 24th. General Motors testing got underway at Daytona last Wednesday, and here are the top 10 first race speeds from January 3rd.
The corners are close to the line. Up next with one single already, Manny Ramirez.
Bob Bear, owner of the New Hampshire International Speedway, has purchased the remaining 50% of the North Wilkesboro Speedway. The racetrack, rumored to be on the list for losing its Winston Cup dates in the near future, is now co-owned by Bear and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, which holds Charlotte, Atlanta, and Texas Motor Speedway, which is now...
And on 3 pitches, he's gone.
Partner, he gets ahead of him and never looks back. Sweet strikeout.
In 1996, the three-quarter-mile facility has had to send several drivers and teams home over the past few years due to the allowable starters. That will increase by 2 divisional for Winston Cup, Sears Craftsman Super Truck races, and Busch Series events this year. One other news note, January 20th is the date for this year's Winston Cup preview, held at the Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum
Takes the first pitch.
North Carolina.
But that pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking it.
$10 admission fee.
Sometimes you try to make the hit chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
The Winston Cup Racing Live Auxiliary.
He's batting .281 with 2 home runs and 19 RBIs. He swiped 2 bases.
We're very proud to introduce Stephanie Boyd, who is the new producer of Inside
On the ground.
Stephanie not only will produce the show, she will be an honorary.
He's on with a 2-out single.
Throughout the year. So we decided to put him in real quick. She wants to get stories of the guys who are taking on major responsibilities with the championship team, the Richard Silver Racing team.
The Red Sox are going for more speed on the bases.
God, this runner can read pitches like nobody's business, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him trying to steal a bag right here.
The runner's moving. He just stole second.
The guy walked right into his lead. He never had a chance to throw him out.
Who would replace him? Turns out 2 guys have been tapped to head things up. Veteran chassis specialist Dan Jeffrey.
They asked the third base umpire if he swung.
While team engineer and shop foreman Bobby Hutchins moved to general manager.
Well, I think it was one of those situations where David and I both...
This game's headed for extra innings. After 9, it's a 7-7 tie.
Complement each other in information and also hopefully tie some things together. I'm going on the road a little bit with the shop that maybe before maybe got kind of left out in the gray area somewhere outside.
Bringing in a righty to face the right-handed hitter is a good move, partner, because it creates a mismatch in the pitcher's favor.
Smith has been with RCR since 1979. He's been through 6 championships with Dale Earnhardt behind the wheel and says that's prepared him for the job at hand.
I think it really does. I understand how it works. I understand Dale Earnhardt and what he's... my expertise has been basically with the chassis, helping the setup to prove you could have done it. And
fly ball hit deep to center field. Damon puts it away for the out.
It's a nice pitch there to get the fly ball. Nice work.
Next at the plate, Ken Harvey.
The way this team operates, I've been a real big part of. Basically, this is day one as far as Dale being here. And I think that's been a real benefit to us too.
Smith has some pretty big
hit to the right side.
Ow!
Stepping up to the plate with a single already, Sean Figgins.
Shanahan bowed out, And even though Smith wanted the job then, Petrie got it and led the team on to Earnhardt's 6th and 7th title. Smith admits it was the right choice at that time, but with
Johnson with the 0-1 pitch.
He wasn't about to let another one go
Figgins
away.
hits one to center. 1, 2, 3, and the inning is over. In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie. Lowell will hit next. A ball.
That was a purpose pitch. Change him off the plate, hoping the batter would go chasing.
Fouls it back off the catcher.
I think that's what it boiled down to is the people in this shop and in this whole organization.
Swing and a miss, struck him out.
Hey, sometimes you make a good pitch, and that was one of them. Big strikeout there for him.
He's already got here and what he knows, what he can do. And they get that just gave me a tremendous amount of confidence.
Stepping in, Johnny Damon.
But it was the team owner, Richard Childress, who had the ultimate say-so. And by promoting Smith and Hutchins together, he says he's found the right formula.
If we would have went outside and brought someone else in, I think it could have hurt the team or team spirit or like that. Right now,
and on 3 pitches, he's gone.
That batter just rung up the golden sombrero with that K.
You know, we're going to stumble a little, and everybody's going to say, "Hey, you should have done this or you should have done that." We also stumble sometimes. You know, you're going to have those days. So what do? You go to the next place.
1 ball and no strike.
But that pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
Slow.
That means the pressure is on, and so is the spotlight. But the strategy
But that pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
I think in 92 when Andy came, we've gone through a real bad season. We probably really needed a dose of change per se.
Ball 4.
A lot of ideas and things for the team that we hadn't had before.
Stepping in 1 for 5, Miguel Cabrera.
A little more first pitch. This year,
makes slow.
Second point.
This guy's a prime candidate trying to swipe it back right here.
We're not really trying to fix anything, maybe to polish it a little better, to make it more competitive and hopefully win the championship in 96. So, from that perspective, I think there'll be a lot of
hit to right field. Curves foul.
But also, for maybe the fans and everybody else, it seem kind of like the same team other than Andy.
That'll do it for the Red Sox in the 10th.
There are still 2 things this team would like to do: win the Daytona 500 and take Earnhardt to his 8th
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
This caliber, and what better way for a rookie crew chief to prove himself?
I'll be fair. What greater dream could you ask for to get a top job at a premier chief, a premier driver, and come out and just be tremendously successful? To be a dream come true. But I'm a dreamer. And again, I'm an optimist. And if it happened that way, I would not be shocked. I would say, thank the Lord, that's the way we play.
There's a lot of critics.
1 and 2 the count.
But that pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
The pitch. They check with the first base umpire.
Once again fall short. One thing is for sure: the racing world will be watching the maneuvers of car number 3, and, high profile or not, Hutchins and Smith are ready to take them on.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Strike 3, and he'll take a seat.
Hey, sometimes you make a good pitch, and that was one of them. Big strikeout there for him.
That championship in 1996. I don't think we're going to have any problem with Stephanie either. She's already got a seat left doing the time job.
Stepping in 2 for 4, Sean Burrows.
Where they're going.
1 out, nobody on. Out of the zone, that's a ball. Pitch taken for a ball.
That mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. Our question is from Rob Fox from Blackwood, New Jersey. During practice sessions, drivers will come off the car's engines on their last lap and coast into the pits. What is the purpose of this?
The count is even at 2.
What that does is it lets the engine builders or the people that work for the spark plug companies gives them a chance
to read
spark plugs. We also call it a clean count, which means you don't have any residual fuel left in the condition.
Down he goes on strike.
They can look at it. They can see how the engine's performing at its maximum level, at maximum RPM. They'll look at a multitude of things. They'll look at
stepping in 1 for 5.
Not enough ignition, too much water temperature, not enough water temperature. It's amazing the things that engine builders can tell you by looking at those.
On the ground, he flips it to the pitcher covering. That takes care of the side.
Again, thanks for writing me.
If you have any race questions, right here at Inside NASCAR.
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224. If you use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Premium Jack Flag.
1-0.
Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
Jackson takes outside.
Sometimes you try to make a hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
When Limbo Dine jumped on a Big Red boat in December, not only was it the first fundraiser of
2 ball,
its
2 strike count.
Racing Lives Auxiliary, it was also Bodine's first official project as the club's new president.
That's 5 strikeouts.
When she's not cruising, though, Lynn can often be found at home, enjoying the 60 acres from 1984 at Thompson International Speedway in Connecticut.
Next up, David Ortiz.
Martin exactly love at first sight.
Yeah, my dad used to
No balls, 1 strike.
God, and his name I'm
1-1 the count.
But that pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking these pitches.
The catch is made by the left fielder.
But it was interesting. There wasn't anything
Ramirez takes high.
Something she can't expect a lot of is work. Even fundraising efforts of the Lives Auxiliary, it may mean taking him away from
He's batting .299 with 1 home run and 20 runs batted in. They check down at first. He started to swing but managed to stop. Pitch in tight for a ball. It's a full count. Grounded to the right side. 1, 2, 3, and the inning is over. In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie. This game is brought to you by EA Sports. EA Sports, it's in the game.
Well, thanks, Lynn. She certainly has a big job to do.
He goes the other way.
An organization that has a lot of good
base hit to lead off the inning. Kearns comes to the plate. They'll send in a pinch runner.
Pontiac that I drove back in 92 and 93 was just one whale of a car. It's a great car. I guess I won 10 races in 93 with it. And then we signed a deal with Ford Motor Company because of different reasons. But, when I left, all I can tell you is I won 10 races, one hell of a car.
Nobody out. He goes into second hard.
The second baseman did a fantastic job there with that runner barreling into him to get a good throw off to complete 2.
Oh, welcome back to Inside NASCAR. Yeah, there's a 1996 Pontiac Index, but we can't take our cameras in there just yet. Hopefully, before too long, you will be able to see it right here on the Inside NASCAR. You know, Pontiac has had a lot of ups and downs over the years. They've had some very good years in motorsports, and they're very excited about 1996 with a new car. We're also excited to introduce
anytime you see a guy swing and foul it off the other way, it means he's late.
With us, bringing the stories during the year. And right now, she takes a look at the history of Pontiac racing.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He's hitting .308 with 7 long balls and 21 RBIs.
Those guys.
Down he goes on strikes.
Glad to win this race here from Pontiac and from Miller.
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
The rumble on the beaches of Daytona.
The bottom of the order.
Bonneville, Firebird, Madonna, Brandon, Grand Prix, Brandon, they all come into the end of Pontiac. Just think back to the number of Pontiac.
Behind in the count, 0-2.
I think you could say that he misses executed on that side.
He's also behind the Johnson won no less than 8 races driving
plate ump asked for help at first. That's 6 strikeouts.
Hey, the pitcher wins the battle. Sweet pitch to get the K.
Basically, they withdrew. It was partially an extension in the victory.
Base is empty with 1 out.
There's fourth drift and safety requirements for intent. We started flipping the back door because we found that having late.
They check with the third base umpire.
1981 was a critical year for Pontiac, and all of the manufacturers understood.
That's a grounder down the left side. He's on first with a base hit.
I think it's just about time to get some relief in here. This guy's just about happy.
It was Bobby Allison and the Allison O'Neill team who saw them on first. Their test results from Talladega showed
And here comes the hook. They're going to the pen.
This left the other manufacturers shaking in their boots.
Limited edition was two-door. But Germany is a four-door car, but it has better...
The next batter is Mike Lowe.
Win racing.
They want more speed on the bases, so here comes the pinch runner.
While other teams look seriously at switching to the Le Mans, NASCAR was intent to slow it down. Their strategy to promote better competition. Others, like the 1980 Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt, driving the number 2 Pontiac in 1981, switched after driving for safety for only 1 race.
Pitchers ahead, 1 and 2.
Legendary move to drive for Richard Childress in what else but a Pontiac. The first official stint for victory was an 18-year absence from competitive.
No luck at the plate today for this guy.
Rookie driver Morgan Shepherd led 290-500 in Martinsville. Yet the following year,
he's hitting back to the dugout. Strike 3.
Ooh, this guy's had a rough day, man. That strikeout just gave him the hat trick.
The golden boy of Pontiac would be a young driver named Justin Wallace.
Up next, Johnny Damon.
The highs had never been higher than in 1989 when Rusty Wallace sealed his Pontiac for the Winston Cup championship. In 1993, Rusty would have
there's out number 3. In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
Would take the championship. Just when the light had never shone brighter for this car company, Rusty left Pontiac for getting third in 1994.
Yeah, I took it the championship in 1989, driving the Grand Prix. I was real proud of that and stuck with him.
The Red Sox are making a change on defense. Here's the new right fielder, Trot Nixon.
Body pieces and got better. And plus the stock Grand Prix car changed from those But things evolved and he had a great car.
Yank to the left side. He catches it in foul territory. Next at the plate, Ken Harvey.
Will take him into victory lane one more time. Now with a radical redesign of the 1996 Grand Prix and 5 teams feeling at this game.
He's on with a single.
That is some serious clutch hitting, Kite.
Stepping in 1 for 5, Sean Figgins.
Welcome aboard to our staff on the Inside NASCAR. I'm with Kevin Hamlin, who
that's
is
a push bunt
on the Pontiac number 1.
They got him.
And Kevin, I know you folks are going through a lot here in the changeover from Ford to Pontiac.
Yeah, we are. We're very, very busy right now trying to get everything ready for our unit testing. We've got our put together. We're going to head to the wind tunnel with.
Runner on second with 2 down.
Now, how much of a change is
Jones
from
watches ball 1.
Pontiacs as far as chassis that you might have used in the past?
Chassis-wise, Ned, there's not that big a change. There's the top feature.
Now, see if you can take advantage of the runner on second to score this run.
But other than that, the tires that we used last year would be
2 and 1.
About exactly the same.
So you will use some of the chassis that you actually used in 1995?
Yeah, that's correct. We had 3 chassis that we were really pleased with last season, and we're going to switch those over to Pontiac so we can have a really good baseline to start with.
Full count here. He's batting .302 with 2 long balls and 8 runs batted in.
So far, I know that
the delivery, he goes down swinging.
Of course, there'll be some late track testing here very shortly.
It looks pretty good right now to us. Rick, he's really pleased with the tires. Really pleased.
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
The boards that you ran last year.
Well, we're hoping we're going to feel the eventually get it in the downforce and we have everything good. We're looking just a total package. If we can get more total downforce from the rear, that's what we're really hoping for.
Now, of course, this is General Motors car, the Pontiac here, and a lot of people are thinking that it compares very favorably and look a lot like the Pontiac car.
On the ground.
It's got some of the same
They got him.
features that the Pontiac car does.
Up next with one single already, Miguel Cabrera.
Now, is this going to be tougher for this team since you're making the transition from Fords to Pontiac than it would be for the other Pontiac
Line drive,
teams
hit the other way to the right side.
Oh, it could be, but I'm going to tell you, we're probably going to be real open-minded about everything we're doing. I don't
Jackson takes it, it's outside.
Information is, we're trying to work real close together all the time. Our teams are, and any information we gain, we're going to share with them. Hopefully they'll share with us.
Now, not only will you
Pitch taken for a ball.
Sometimes you try to make a hit or chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
Be changing from Ford to General Motors.
You remember a few years back we did run a
that one splits the outfielder. That's a ground rule double.
And that was especially when Brad Thrower and John Bacaro, our engine people up there in Asheville.
Well, that one made a beeline for the stands. Unfortunate for him, it bounced before leaving the yard for a ground rule double.
One that seems to work better, the driver likes it better than any other. Can you duplicate a car like that?
Well, we hope so.
Ortiz is the next hitter.
You can set a car here, take every single measurement.
Pitch misses for a ball.
And hopefully you can duplicate that car. Then again, there's more than just a chassis.
Taken for a ball.
Body dimension, duplicate all the roll cage structure, how it was actually put together.
It's a hitter's count, 3-0.
Sometimes you try to make a hit or chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
The appeal goes to third. He offered at that one.
He's had a lot of bad luck along the way, had some awfully good runs, but have had a lot of bad luck. Does the Pontiac
He walks him to put runners on first and second.
That wasn't a bad display by the pitcher. You've got to credit the batter for showing a lot of patience and working the walk.
Stepping in, Manny Ramirez. Pitch taken for a ball.
Sometimes you try to make a hit or chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
Fastball missed low.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Good luck to this team with the new Pontiac. Now, they're planning to do some private testing this weekend at Talladega. A couple of the other Pontiac teams were at Talladega earlier this week. Private
Taken for a ball.
About that because it was a private test. And the Chevrolets were at Daytona running scheduled tests this week. And as we leave you for this
The count is full.
The other testing that's scheduled at Daytona this week.
He delivers. Both runners are off with the pitch. In extra innings, this contest is tied. Next up, Sean Burrows.
From time to time here on Inside NASCAR, we will take you to Wade's World, featuring Steve Wade, managing editor of Winston Cup Speed, and his unique perspective on various subjects in the sport of auto racing. Steve has been around for many years. He's an insider in the sport. Here's his comment. Hi, I'm Steve Wade. Have you ever heard of cause and effect? I'm not sure, but I think it has something to do with physics, but I think...
The pitch?
Anyway, when something happens, that's the cause, that creates a reaction or response, that's the effect. In physics, they say that for every action, there's an equal reaction, but I'm not sure I trust it.
In tight.
Anyway,
sometimes you try to make a hit or chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
That's because certain things happen in 1990.
Hit towards the shortstop.
That will create reactions.
They got him at first. The next batter is Harold Crawford.
Jeff Gordon wins the 1995 Winston Cup Championship. Effect. Well, Jeff and his Hendrick Motorsports guys are going to be trying real hard to make it 2 in a row.
There's a close pitch called a ball.
Right now is where you see the manager's wheels spinning. To bunt or not to bunt.
And remember, Dale Earnhardt is going to be
takes a tailing fastball
to win that record-setting 8th career championship. Cars, Chevrolet wins the manufacturer's championship. Effect. Well, we're feeling that already. Ford is going to lower the roof height of the Thunderbird by a quarter inch and put it in your nose piece. And we don't even know
There's a line drive.
because we haven't seen it. So expect a lot
He
of
reaches with a one-out single.
Kite, that's what I like about this guy. He always gets it done. You ask him to get something done, boom, he delivers.
Okay. So a lot of people have speculated that this might cause a sway in the balance of power in NASCAR. After all, you've got a few guys with a big pool of talent and a big pool of money. They might want to exude unnecessary.
That one just missed.
Kite, this guy can flat out swat it back. He's got a good situation to go on here. Let's see what happens.
Just missed.
Don't you think NASCAR can do the same thing? Cars, attendance at races, and television audiences were at record highs.
Taken for a ball.
The pitcher really threw a poor breaking ball right there, and the batter had no choice but let that one go by.
He draws the walk.
Nothing positive comes out of this guy nibbling. He's falling behind, he finally walks the guy. Kite, he showed a great eye right there. He was patient, worked the pitcher, and ended up with a free pass.
Up next, Austin Kearns.
Now, some of these predicted effects, if they don't happen, listen, don't blame me. I told you, I slumped through it.
There's some activity in the bullpen. Here comes the manager for a mound visit.
What's he going to tell the pitcher? Throw better pitches? Bringing in the righty right here is a good move because right-handed hitters can have trouble picking up his breaking pitches.
Coming up next week on Inside NASCAR, Ned sits down with Jimmy Johnson. Talk about life after retirement for one of the most successful car owners in NASCAR Winston Cup history. We'll also tag along with Kenny Wallace.
0-2 count.
He's up with the country's biggest redneck, Matt Foxworthy.
And the pitch. The count's 1-2.
After a couple of tough seasons in Winston Cup. Those stories and a whole lot more are next week on Inside.
Strike 3, and he's gone.
At the top of the show, we're just on the cruise on the big red boat. Featuring some of the NASCAR truck drivers and other personalities, and we're still on the boat, still having fun, so let's go on around you again.
When we last saw our NASCAR cruisers, they were getting down at the disco. But daybreak was fast approaching. After parking the big red boat on Wednesday morning in NASCAR,
takes the first pitch high. He swiped 4 bases.
Over to Salt Key for some fun in the sun and a little relaxation.
Popped up.
And for some, it was an early rise after a late evening.
And the side is retired with runners left on first and second.
Right, Ray?
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie. Hinch is up. It's no secret that this right-handed hitter hates facing righty pitchers. Got him!
Burrows let that throw get away from him, but the fielder had enough time to corral the ball and make the play.
The racers and the race fans were loving it.
Out comes the manager to talk about that last call. The manager just wants to talk to the umpires here. Next at the plate, Trot Nixon. Hits it foul.
Happy to be here. Race fans have been great on this trip.
Taken for a ball.
The pitcher really threw a poor breaking ball right there, and the batter had no choice but let that one go by.
He's on first with a base hit.
That pitch was inside when he yanked it for a hit.
Stepping in 1 for 5 with Mike Lowe. Takes a pitch just off the plate, 1-0.
One of the coolest excursions was the
outside 2 balls in this one.
I like to see a hit and run in a situation like this. The pitcher's behind the count, so he has to come over, and a pitch out is unlikely. So why not hit and run?
Everybody has
3-1. Three and 2. Here's the pitch. Stepping in, Johnny David.
And a little low. Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
2 or 3 years into the season. There we go. Go again. All in all, our short stay aboard the Big Red Boat was a big lasting memory for fans and racers alike.
Fouled out of play.
It was in June, and we enjoyed it so much that when this came about, we said, man, we'd like to have you participate in this. And they said, bring your family. I said, now that's exactly what I wanted to do. So the kids have just been
2 outs.
going crazy over things that they can
Strike
do.
3 sends him back to the dugout with nothing to show for that AB.
They're hardly sleeping, so when we get back home, they'll need a vacation from the vacation.
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
Had 2 autograph sessions. We got these dinner seats. We just had a good time. It's been great for the fans, but as far as from the driver's standpoint, it's been
0-1 the count.
We don't get a whole lot of chance to get out and with all the race fans and mix and mingle like we have this.
That's a liner back through the middle.
It's just unbelievable how much
his
fun
third base hit of the game.
He started this inning off in fine fashion. Let's see if his teammates can pick him up.
It's just been great to rub elbows with all of them and go out and karaoke with them.
Misses outside.
Have a lot of good times with him, and it's just really been great.
Hits it foul.
You'll have some good voice you have.
Oh, God.
And to think that all this free ship fun benefits a worthy cause. You feel like coming back.
Makes the catch to record the out.
Nothing special about that one. Just picked up the ball, got a beat out, and made the play.
Next up, Sean Figgins.
They need a run right now. The bunt would get them 90 feet closer and a runner in scoring position.
Nixon should have no problem. The right fielder makes the catch.
It's a win-win situation because you get to come and have a good time and just relax, and we really, honestly know for we have had a great time, and everybody gets to benefit from it.
Yank to the left side. Third out, we go to the bottom of the inning. The score is tied.
No ball. If you don't, you're missing out on a good time. That's anybody else around. And we've got to preserve that.
Pitch taken for a ball.
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
Dirksen lays off ball 2.
If you'd like to go along in 1996 on the Big Red Boat.
Out of the zone, that's a ball.
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
And he takes the walk.
Kite, this guy needs to bear down and throw strikes. You don't want to be walking people this late in the ball game.
The next batter is Miguel Cabrera.
Partner, this runner is excellent at reading pitches and their deliveries. I wouldn't be shocked if he went here.
And a strike.
They certainly have a lot planned for you. As we leave you for today, here's a look at the 1996 NASCAR Winter Cup Series.
And it's 1-2.
Kite, even the batter knew he got away with the swing there.
That's 5 strikeouts.
Hey, partner, to steal a term from hockey, that strikeout was the old hat trick for that guy.
There's 1 out and a man on first.
Okay, this dude just knows how to steal it back. He studies film, he studies pitchers, and he can try to apply all that right now.
Today's show has been brought to you by Texaco Honda and Formula
1-2.
That's just an ugly swing. That pitcher really crossed the ball.
It's hit out to right field. He leaps and makes the catch for the out.
Charlie Stronger, and you'll see get the ball now at 6:30 Eastern.
That was not an easy catching all, big boy. Great defense.
Up next, David Ortiz. He's off to second.
A racing in Michigan this year.
You know, you don't buy tradition, you build it.
Indianapolis at the moment represents
Deep fly ball hit the left.
theater, but the players,
and
the
that's
main
the
players
final out of the
somewhere
inning with 1 man left stranded.
I never expected I would be the only
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie. Stepping to the plate with 2 singles already, Sean Burrows.
If this doesn't make you very, very excited, then you're not hooked up right. And there it is. Here we go. We're racing. And we have a crash in turn 4. A crash approaching the green flag. Whoa!
ball.
The fact the pitcher and catcher have a strategy in mind. So far, the batters are taking this pitch.
2-2 count.
Comes to its feet as checkers and American flags wave for the winner of the inaugural US 5.
He's down swinging.
That batter just run up the golden sombrero, that kid.
The finish of the race is unbelievable. He ducks his head, drives under it. I don't think anybody's won this one.
Next at the plate, Carl Crawford. He fouls this one back.
This is where America has come every year for 80 years on Memorial Day weekend. This is where
Sometimes you
speed
try
is
to make a hit
celebrated
and chase
with
your
heroes
pitch.
born.
That's exactly what you
The
saw
Indy
right
500
there.
has never had a year like this.
That's 3 strikeouts.
Viewed in the House of IndyCar divided. Whether these two circuits can indeed coexist, and how an American institution became a political football.
Chances are you won't see this guy winning a Triple Crown anytime soon.
Start your engines.
The count's 0-1.
This is a way of life. This has been my life for 30 years plus. I've studied the history of this place. And it's,
Here's the 0-2 pitch.
you don't buy tradition, you build it.
What Indy built was
He's hanging in
challenged
there.
this year. CART took its powerful teams and headline drivers to Michigan for the US 500.
The winner of this
Foley
year's Indy
retires the side in order.
take the same satisfaction as any prior champion.
No, absolutely not. And he will know that.
I don't mean it's a hollow victory, but it's certainly not the same level of competition that you'd have otherwise.
In extra innings, it's a 7-7 tie.
Stars overnight. Okay? I say he won't.
The first Indy 500 champion of the IRL era has a remarkable story.
Ramirez takes
racing
ball
with a
one.
broken back, passing 2 cars over the final 10 laps for the 3rd closest finish in race history.
Pitch
Already in
inside.
Michigan, the US 500's more experienced and famous field had suffered an embarrassing 12-car wreck on the pace lap.
Out of the
IndyCar
zone,
racing
that's a
remains
ball.
strewn with the debris
Sometimes
of
you
this
try to
field
make a hit and chase
between
your pitch. That's
championship
exactly what you saw
racing
right
teams CART, the 18-year-old group of IndyCar runners,
3-1, a hitter's
George's
pitch.
Indy Racing League, built on the race that his family owns.
I want to have some
3-2.
input into the direction that the sport goes. That is.
Hit to the right side.
I think this institution has to have some input.
The IRL also says it wants to lower racing costs and make the sport more democratic.
It isn't trying to help out the little guy. It's for control of what has the potential of being an
Inside,
enormous
1 ball to
sport.
strike.
So it's not
Sometimes you try to make a hit and chase your pitch. It's exactly what you saw right
But the
there.
business brawl has gotten personal.
They got him.
The big Roger Penske.
Figgins made him look easy on that out of the first guy.
Stepping in, trying to intercept.
Place like AJ Foyt did, or Will Michelle,
It's just off the plate.
and I'll tell you why, because of my, like they made in Indianapolis, they made. You know what I'm talking about?
I've known AJ a long time. I think that AJ, one of his
What a shot.
modus operandi is to
And gone, and that's the ball game.
And that's another situation.
This was Indy's situation. A field more than half filled with football. And CART stars were in Michigan, as one of them said, as if in exile from Tony George's race.
To do what he did down there, which is some of the miracle. To me, it's like off a car motherhood. It's something we just don't mess with. And I think he's going to screw it up.
They certainly want the world to stand still. They personally put it another way.
The final score, the Red Sox 8, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays 7.
I wouldn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been around a little while, and I've had a lot of interaction with a lot of the drivers and car owners. I've gotten to know their personalities pretty well. And a lot of it's not surprising to me.
George's vision is an IRL schedule of 5, eventually more, oval track races.
To have a totally oval series, you almost have to go back to the 50s. Why do we want to go back to the 50s? Times have changed, guys. The split
is between friends and associates of many years in the very tight fraternity of racing. The hope is that this feud can be settled at least for one day a year for this race. The reality may be something very, very different.
Tony Georges, he's the one that's going to have to make a move. At this particular point, our people want to go to Indy. At the end of the day, want to go on a level playing field.
Which is what the IRL says it is all about. But the CART divorce became inevitable when George reserved 25 of Indy's 33 slots for IRL car owners, the better to promote his venture.
We're being shut out of Indianapolis. I mean, we have 26 or 27 drivers here, and 8 of them would have been allowed to run Indianapolis. What would we do with the other 20 guys? Just send them home?
I don't believe that that's the case. I believe that the issues we're talking about here are two very different philosophical approaches to business and to the sport.
This year, the IRL ran older model Indy cars. Next year, they'll have new chassis, no more turbocharged engines, and that will deepen the rift with CART.
And I can tell you this, these engines are going to be more expensive than what they have this year, and the running costs are going to be higher.
If we cut it by a half, that would be great. If we cut it by a third, that would be good. But I think we can cut it substantially.
I would say that on a per race basis, it's probably not going to be much cheaper than CART. I don't think anybody can accurately say what it's going to take. Let me rephrase that. What it's going to take to win races in IRL.
In fact, IRL chassis are still on drawing boards in England and Italy.
Can they get it together? Yes. Can they build 40 race cars, which they need, before the first race in Orlando? I don't think so.
This battle for power, dollars, and technology is IndyCar's ultimate race. Memorial Day weekend was the first wheel-to-wheel encounter.
Nobody's going to win, I don't think. I don't think anybody's won this month. I got a lot of respect for the Holman family and the tradition they built there, but you go to Michigan and you look at the strength of those teams, and you look at you look at how professional they are, and it would be hard to bet against them.
While one of the major names in CART invokes another to justify their stand apart on Indy Race Day.
I'd also like to say, and this is going to embarrass, there's nobody in racing that I know, in my experience, who has been more objective, more ethical, more moral about speaking out for what is good for racing. And I promise you, if Mario thought what was best for racing would be the IRL, he'd be sitting down there right now.
Now, of course, time has gone by. They've developed their own rules for their series. They've got a few races going now. So I think it really would be very, very difficult to bring the two sides back together.
I don't think that there will ever be an accord whereby CART as a unit comes, to compete at the Indianapolis 500. They as individuals are going to continue to be welcome here.
Still ahead, a rookie at the Brickyard, an Unser in his very first run.
Coming down pit road there was so much emotion. I'm even thinking about it now a little bit. But it was neat because, this is where my father left off.
And when we continue, Team Penske and Team Rahal, CART's royalty, spending this May away from Indy.
If you have the greatest spectacle in racing, you deserve to have the best race. And this year, that's not what they have. The best race is here in Michigan.
And the atmosphere of Indianapolis, here in the Michigan countryside, the CART teams made their